Well, it's a new day and the insanity continues.
So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
Do you ever feel like you've woken up in a really bad B horror movie that the plot just keeps getting more and more absurd? And as a member of the audience, you know you ought to get up and just walk out. There's other things you could be doing, but for some reason you can't leave. And now, even stranger, you find yourself living through this really badly made, produced horror movie, in the sense that it's bad because you get the plot, you know exactly what's happening, and you can't believe that anybody sitting around you is actually drawn into the story and falling for the plot, yet everywhere you look, people are just sucked in. I'm talking about the life we're living. Let's start with the mask. Gotta wear the mask. Now, there is no scientific proof whatsoever that this mask is doing anything to stop, slow, flatten curves, whatever narrative they try to give to us, that the mask is absolutely having any effect on the so-called pandemic, which is a plandemic. But, for sake of pretending we're in a movie and we're supposed to be believing the script we're reading, this is just not realistic. I mean, again, they still cannot tell us definitively, if you wear the mask, this is exactly the number of percentage of lives that you are saving and saving yourself. 50%, 60%, 10%. And there's no testing that has been done to prove that the mask works. None. They haven't put 20 people in a room infected with coronavirus, 10 in mask, 10 not in mask, and told us the results of what happened. It's ludicrous. We go into restaurants where we're told, wear the mask in, and then once you sit down to order, you can take the mask off to eat. Now, what's the point of putting it on? What? Somehow, when my food is sitting in front of me, the coronavirus is just hovering back in fear, like, oh no, chicken nuggets and coleslaw. What? Some days I get mad, and then there are days like today where I look at this insanity and I just can't take it anymore. We have national chain stores like Kroger and Walmart going to require that you wear a mask. Why? Why? Seriously? Well, mask in the plexiglass. What? The virus doesn't go around your little protective barrier? It gets to that plexiglass, it goes, and it dies? I walk into restaurants now, plural, and they're hanging up clear plastic shower curtains between the booths. What? The virus just hits the plastic and magically disintegrates it. It can't figure out, it's this lethal, deadly virus that if you inhale, you're going to die. But it's so stupid, it can't get around the plastic to the opening where you're sitting. It's like the reason I've never gotten into TV shows like, what's that? The Walking Dead, or movies like Dawn of the Dead. This whole zombie thing. Yeah. They can crawl out of the grave. If they get their hands on you, they're strong enough to rip you in half and eat you. But if you get inside a building and close the door, you're safe. Because advanced technology like doorknobs stop the zombies. If you're in your car, as long as you've locked the doors, they can't break the glass or get into the car to get you. It's just so ludicrously absurd. Ludicrously absurd. I can't suspend enough of my human thought and reasoning to ever enjoy something like that. Side note that you won't care about, but I'll give you an example of this. I decided to watch one of those really badly made 1950s sci-fi movies the other night because I really wanted to escape reality. And on YouTube, I had seen here and there the movie trailer for the movie Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. No, not the remake with Daryl Hannah, the original from the late 1950s. So I went ahead and checked out Prime Stream, and yep, they had it. So I paid the $1.99 and I watched it. And I mean, you just talk about a horribly, badly made movie. The acting is terrible. The script is awful. The so-called special effects of the giant hand of the 50-foot woman. It's like, wow, really? Just absolutely just terrible. But yet, I watched it. But, you know, we're supposed to believe, and I don't want to play spoiler, but let me play spoiler. We're supposed to believe that this young woman comes in contact with an alien and she grows to be 50 feet tall. Yet, she has clothes that fit her. Because there she is, walking around town, and she's got clothes on. She's 50 feet tall and can rip the roof off of buildings because she wants to kill her husband. But she's got clothes on. And, you know, maybe when you're 8-year-old, you watch, and I love those old Universal horror flicks, the Wolfman, Frankenstein, the originals. The Wolfman with Lon Chaney just has always been one of my favorites. But then when I got to be a young adult, I got watching one day when VHS tape was big, and I realized, wait a minute, he was wearing a suit and tie, then he goes into his metamorphosis change, and now he's the Wolfman, and there he is in that brown shirt and those brown pants. Well, that's not what he was wearing when the change started. Okay, and what's the deal that every time there's a full moon, there's fog? If there was fog, he wouldn't see the full moon. Anyway, you just can't suspend reason to accept that stuff when you get older. And that's how I am with all of this corona crapola. And we have people pushing back, and then we have other people shaming. And I'm even talking about on the conservative side. Case in point, the house painter, Sean Hannity, the guy who sold out whatever conservative ideals he had because he just wants to be a pawn as long as he gets a good paycheck from it. He and Laura Ingraham have had a little back and forth. When he signs off, he intros Laura and, takes away her time. But anyway, they're back and forth on the thing about masks because Hannity thinks she ought to wear one. Laura's like, this is crazy. And she made this statement to Hannity the other night, to which he basically did a Jackie Gleason, Ralph Cramden, hamana, when he said, come on, Laura, it's just temporary. And she says, what makes you think it's temporary? Bum, ba-dum, bum. What does make you think that the mask is temporary? What indication signs do you see that it's going away? I live in a state where the governor decided, I live in a county that out of 100,000 people, we have 50 that have coronavirus. 50. No fatalities since the 1st of June. None. We have no one in our local hospital with coronavirus. No one. Yet, our county is on a statewide and state-inflicted mask mandate. Because Governor DeWine, that 4-eyed nerd that nobody even knew his name or how he got to be governor. They don't even remember voting for him. But somehow he got elected, probably because he put an R by his name as a Republican. And since Donald Trump carried Ohio, they just assumed that, well, this guy DeWine, whatever his name is, he's got an R there. We'll vote for him and he'll support the president. And then all of a sudden, the pandemic hit, and we were the first state to close schools and have a curfew and close businesses and go into lockdown. We were the very first state to do that, and all of a sudden, the media wanted to talk to him, and he was on Fox and CNN and the Today Show, and all of a sudden, 2/3 of the state said, so that's our governor. That's what he looks like. Yeah, this little nerd twit snivel, with his little press briefings, and he came out yesterday and scolded, now Ohio, you're slipping. We've worked so hard, and I don't want to have to come up with more mandates, but you might be forcing me to behave. And then he said, because we can't be like Florida. Hey, Governor Dimwit, Doesn't you or anybody on your staff paying any attention to the fact that the Florida numbers are so bad that even the CDC is now rejecting them? That they're all having to be redone because Shazam, Batman, as they were factoring in all the new positive cases, they forgot to tell us how many had tested negative. So it looked like every testing site was 100% positivity. It was wrong. Completely wrong. And now Texas suspects the same thing has happened to them. Bum, ba-dum, bum. And there have been some bumps in Florida and Texas. Some of it is herd immunity. We are doing more testing. And, are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? People from the north, in particular the real draconian lockdown states like New Jersey and New York, trying to escape their insaniac governors, have gone to places like Florida to vacation, to breathe. And they brought the virus with them. Now they're back in New York, and the governor of New York is scolding Florida when it's the people from New York that infected Florida. So there has been a bit of a bump, but it's, again, no context given to anything. It's manageable. Do you understand me? Look at me. Look at me. Listen. Shut up. Stop typing your comment right now and look at me. 99% of you will not die. In fact, about 98% of you won't even show symptoms. And the 1% of you that show symptoms and might even have to go into the hospital, it'll be for a day or two. You will be fine. And there's less than 1% that this could be potentially fatal to you, depending on your age, your physical condition, and what extenuating health circumstances do you have. And even when they report on young death, they fail to mention the other health issues the person had. No context is given into anything. And the bottom line is, when I hear people, and I had someone in my own church say to me, I have to wear the mask because I'm not going to get sick. There's no guarantee that wearing that stupid mask that you've wadded up in your hand and contaminated, kept in your pocket, kept in the dashboard of your car, kept in your little utility thing in your car that you've thrown your car keys on and your cell phone and other stuff in your car while you've been out and about. Now all of a sudden you've contaminated that cloth, put it up to your nose and breathed it in. Aha! And Fauci would be proud of you. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Here's the bottom line. Because all of you are trying to, I don't want to get sick. I don't want. This is a virus that there is going to be no cure for scientifically. Apart from God doing the miraculous and removing it, it's here. Now they're talking about a vaccine, a vaccine, a vaccine. We don't even have a flu vaccine. What you have is a flu treatment that every year the experts get together and they try to figure out, all right, which strand of the flu we think was going to be the hardest this year. And then they have a medication that they can give you that they believe lowers the chance of you getting the flu. You know how they do that? They actually inject some of the flu into you so that your body's immunity system can then fight it off. Okay, I haven't had a flu shot like ever. And I haven't had the flu shot in at least 20 years. Seriously. Seriously. And I haven't been vaccinated for it. The truth is, every single one of us at some point is going to get COVID-19. It's a virus. It's here. And if you are waiting for a magic pill to swallow, this is exactly if I put on the mask, line up, let us scan your forehead, take this vaccine, let us chip you so we can track where you've been and who you've been in contact with, because if you've been in other sick people, we need to know where they are. We also need to know where you are, what you're doing. You cannot get on this plane, shop here. You cannot have a job. Now, some of you are thinking, Pastor Marty, you are being so over the top. You sound like those Bible thumpers that for years have been talking about a cashless society. It's here. Any of you that have ever doubted and you watch me, but you kind of consider yourself atheistic or maybe agnostic or, yeah, I believe in God, but some of you preachers with all this end time prophecy stuff in the book of Revelation, I mean, come on. Come on. Ding, 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 ding. It's here. Revelation 13, they shall not be able to do business lest they receive the mark of the beast. Yet any doubts what that kind of look like? Take a look around. You can't shop here unless you wear a mask. You can't shop here unless you go cashless. And eventually, you can't shop here until we've proven that you've had the vaccine. And the only way we can really prove that, you're going to have to be biochipped so we can scan you, or you can't do business here. You can't work here. You can't get on this plane, this train, this cruise ship. Do you see? So what makes you think it's temporary? It can be if we fight back. And that is exactly what we have to do. Now, there is some positivity that I want to talk about. I talked about this yesterday, and I don't want to recover all of it. Go and watch the video from yesterday. Trump is on to Fauci, and he is setting the trap. He has laid out the bait. Fauci's walking into it. Fauci just said, well, we really would have, the virus would be totally over if we had shut down everything. Bullhawk. This guy's been wrong about everything. And you have more and more people now speaking out that it's okay to question Fauci. It's okay to question Fauci. Eventually they will get around to doing the same homework that we in the conservative alternative media have already done and exposed Fauci months ago. We were exposing him back in March. Nobody wanted to hear it. Now you're going to start seeing that stuff that got suppressed and hidden away and laughed off. That's going to start coming out now, even by some mainstream media outlets. Because Fauci is falling out of grace, and he's been wrong. And he is going to get exposed. And the president, though he's not taking any shots at him yet, you better believe he's given the green light for the shots to be taken by others. And he wants Americans to begin to question, doubt, and even get angry that Fauci has inflicted all this on us. So that's good news coming. The governor of Georgia, I love this, has now put out his own mandate where he basically said, some of you city councils and mayors that want to have mandates and inflict pain and give out citations to people not wearing masks in public, if you make any of those mandates, I'm making them all null and void, and I will prosecute you if you put a mandate like that in place. Boom, baby! In other words, the governor of Georgia is saying there will be no mask mandate here. And again, for you people that are so, it's just to protect grandma. It's for the greater good. It's saving lives. You know, Marco Rubio, put the damn mask on. Really? Well, then why haven't you guys reconvened Congress and drafted it as a law? Why isn't it a law? I live in a state, again, where I just told you that our county's under a mask mandate. For less than 50 people out of 100,000 plus with coronavirus, no deaths, no hospitalizations, but we're supposed to wear the mask of fear. I've got a few masks. They have little sayings on them. And I can tell you right now, they're not Bible verses. Did you expect any less from me? Remember, I am the irreverent reverend of the airwaves. Yet the next county over is Lucas County. That's home to Toledo. Now, we're talking about a whole lot more people than the county I live in. We're also talking about multiple hundreds plus positive corona cases and deaths and hospitalizations. You know what their mask mandate is? Now stop and think about this. The governor gave us a mask mandate. Big chunk of our county is rural. Okay? The county over with the big city of Toledo, no mandate. Now why is that? I'll tell you why. It's twofold. For our area, it has to do with local politics. The Republican mayor in our city went ahead and enacted a mask mandate, was facing backlash, boycotts, protests, so the governor gave him cover by making it a county-wide mandate. That was one. Second, the governor's prejudiced. Yeah, that's exactly the way I'm going to spin this and report on it because it's the only thing I can see it. The governor is a racist. See, Toledo is a city. There's an inner city. You know who lives in the inner city? Minorities. We don't care about the minorities, apparently. So they don't have to mask. So no mask mandate in the city. Because after all, what might happen if a police officer saw a group of individuals with no masks on and they walk up and say something like, hey, we're under a mandate, you got to get your mask on. You know what could happen. More riots, more burning, more looting. And so the governor's just decided, you know what? You guys aren't worth it. You don't have to wear a mask. Think about that, DeWiner. You need to be primaried in a big way. And speaking of being primaried, Governor Gavin Newsom out there on the left coast, California, has once again brought the hammer down, and there'll be no public church services. Now, he had allowed, and that's something. Where does he even think he has the authority to allow or disallow churches to meet when they have a constitutionally protected, guaranteed right to meet? But he did allow them to gather, but they weren't allowed to sing. Because, when you sing, you're spitting, and you're spreading coronavirus. That's so stupid. Well, now he's brought the hammer back down, and churches can't meet unless you agree to less than 100 people. Well, one California pastor, Pastor Greg Farrington, pastor of the 3,500-member Destiny Christian Church just outside Sacramento, has said, nope, he is going to be holding in-person services and he is going to challenge the governor for his office. In fact, he stated, if we don't stand, all we are doing is kicking the can down the road, and we will be having the same conversation in 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 6 months, even a year from now. He's right. There's been a sharp spike in cases in California. So what? It's spiking everywhere. And not because it's the second wave, not because we didn't shut everything down and kill it. People are out. It needs to spread. This is what viruses do. But do you understand it is a weakened strain? As it reformulates itself and then spreads even faster, each time it reformulates, it weakens. Why are the real scientists not out there talking about this? Because it doesn't fit the political narrative of taking us cashless, of making us compliant, of restricting our freedoms. And it's something. All the big box stores owned by corporations that give money to politicians got to stay open during lockdowns, but all the mom and pop businesses that actually put money into their local communities didn't get to be open. And now a lot of them won't reopen. And even the movie theater in my town is not going to reopen. Even though it belongs to a national chain, they're done. They're removing the equipment from the theater as I speak. It's sad. It's cheap to go to the movies, or it cost me $4. $4 for a movie ticket and about another 5 spot for popcorn and a small drink. I mean, for less than $10, I got to see a movie. No more. Bye. And I'm talking about first run movies, wasn't the dollar theater that you saw something out 2 years ago. No. Isn't it funny how nobody in the government has died from coronavirus? Have we had a senator die? Have we had a congressman die? We've had a few that have tested positive. One who tested positive, Rand Paul, who actually happens to be a doctor, got over it and then volunteered his time during the congressional shutdown in his local hospital. And basically chided Dr. Fauci, you haven't even seen a real patient in 30 years. What are you talking about? Bum, ba-dum, bum. We're being played, and we have to speak out. So, let me encourage you. Go to church Sunday. Go to church somewhere Sunday. Go. Pastors, don't you dare shut down. Don't do it. Don't do it. And yep, I'm going to tell you this. Stop wearing the mask. Stop wearing it. Stop wearing it. We need to do this en masse. Stop wearing the mask of fear. It's time to unmask and unshackle and start living as free Americans. Hashtag unmask, and make sure you are a subscriber to this channel. Smack the bell and click the word all to get notifications of my next rant.